As I was saying before, you get the map, shows the map, shows the location, everything you need to unlock within the campaign. There's a lot to do. There's a shipwreck site. There's like a zombie site, but in this game there aren't zombies, more like mummies. Kind of like how things were back in the days when there was monsters in the lake, werewolves. So current type of our idea of current type of monsters that are intimidating and not scary, but then take it back about a good 100 years or more. And back then people were scared of undead, but not zombies. Undead of things that came back to life that were ancient, that came from ancient places or located within ancient sites. And these things were based on stories. So this game is more contained and associated with stories from the past. The mummy, the werewolf, what was it? The Loch Ness monster, Dracula, Ghost. There were ghost pirate ships, um, ancient pharaohs that summoned the dead, uh, necromancers that weren't considered necromancers. They were just sorcerers and wizards that summon armies. So whether there are actually vampires in here, whether there are actually werewolves in here, whether there's actually a Loch Ness monster in here, is unknown. What I do know is that this is a dig site, like Pharaoh or something like the Thuggee from um, Indiana Jones 2, where they were stationed within a certain place of India, temple area. Don't remember exactly what was the name, but it's like that. You're at sites, dig sites, location sites of ancient Egyptian locations. I believe this is an ancient Egyptian location site, or I could be wrong. It could be a site located near that area in the Mesopotamian area, or even below or higher above. But regardless of the fact, the main thing is to check out the buttons within the game. I already spoke on the color of the game, the color uses of colors, the vibrancy of the game. Very beautiful, very like Zombie Army 4, the opposite version of Zombie Army 4. How Zombie Army 4 would look if it was bright and not very decrepit, void of life and stuff. So it's the opposite with regards to Zombie Army 4, but it has like that same theme of an ancient history of an ancient past. So whereas Zombie Army 4 was more during the World War II times, this was pre-World War II, pre-World War One era, when things were still before the Germans got uppity. I wouldn't say Germans, but before the Nazis got uppity and decided to take over the world. So you could say this might be during the same time, but it was when they were starting to get their rise to power. Um, Maybe at the beginning or early parts of World War One. The game doesn't specifically says when, but as you progress further into the sea based on acquisitions, what era you might actually be in. Not just from the ancient text, but the certain subjects that the characters are talking about. Now, if you ever watch an Indiana Jones movie or ever watch any type of artifact movie or a movie related to an artifact or Discovery Channel, um, most of this stuff happened during the 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, and this was pre World War One era, um, when problems within the United States and England were mostly associated with uh, post 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 East India Company trading routes. So this was post the East India Company times when things were starting to still within East India Company hands, but were starting to become more modern towards the modern era of modern technology. So this is pre-modern era, but slowly diving into the modern era where things will you could basically say this was the time of gadget making. And the time of digital didn't come until the 20th century, 18th century, um, in the early and late 19th century. Things were still considered gadget and technology of things becoming analog were starting to become the more forefront towards life. So things were still gadget making before they became analog. So analog cameras, analog were in the actually forefront of something that was mass produced at the time. So I'm going to say for my intro screen, this is good. The buttons are good. They move fast. They work good. The L2, R2 button, R1, R2 button works good. The information that's on the screen works good. The only thing I could take away from the game at this moment right now is that the text of what is being stated on the screen does not have an indication now of how you could accelerate it to the point that you can actually see what's being stated within the text. Like for the Hardbound dig site, I don't know what's exactly stated within the text, and go to controls and increase the subtitles to see subtitles. Or no, that's not subtitles. Sensitivity. I'll increase the sensitivity for my controls. That's just for game controls. Increase that for game controls. And key binding. I don't know. I don't want that. View controls. View. That's fine. So everything related to controls is fine, but for interfaces, that's where I want to go. And loadout upgrades, replace config, special callouts for information, player health, player inventory, amulets, goals. So these things are all on for things that you interface with. Audio is good. Display brightness is fine. I'm good with the actual image of the game. The game itself, the subtitles, I'll keep the subtitles on just for an assistance. Subtitle size is max. The tutorial will be on. I'll just keep that on as a default. Auto reload, aim assist, aim sensitivity, and then there's privacy settings. Now, with regards to that, I don't think that the people who made this game were considering that there might actually be individuals interested in reading the subject matters of what is being stated here. And since the texts are done in a format for, I guess, as closely associated with ancient history as well, I would say ancient history, but ancient history when it comes to text editing and the use of text during or as close as they could get towards how text used to look when people write things on pads. This is where the text that they were using. But the problem with this, the huge problem with this, is that if you're interested in reading what these texts are saying, you cannot see it, and it's very, very, very bad. So this is one of the reasons I say I don't want to jump to conclusions or jump the gun, or however you want to use those quotes or terminology best to describe it before you actually start evaluating the game and say the game is good. I won't listen to Metacritic and their evaluation of the game and say the game is good. I'm going to look at everything in detail. So far, the image of the game in detail is good. So far, the rollovers are good. So far, the color usage of the game in contrast towards other games related that Rebellion created is good. So far, the options menu going from left to right is good. It's very simple. It's not too detailed. The adjustment of things are very simple, but based on the type of game that you're playing, it's not that complicated level that you have to tweak every single thing in detail. What's not good, that the only thing I find that's not good within this game so far is the fact that you cannot read the text, or there's a highlight for text to be evaluated so you can actually see and read it in detail. It's just something that's kept there without consideration for maybe someone might be interested in reading what's stated there, and that's not good. So from this point on, I would say I was at 0.7 with regards to everything I said for the color, for the usage of the FX, when it comes to the intro front scene, or the intro cover of the scene, or the first the first introduction of the scene at the beginning of the loading screen, or the intro screen, not the loading screen. That's good. That's very good. And I guess I'll have it at 0.7, not at a full 1. And a full 1 means that it's great, in my opinion, when it comes to color usage and everything. I'll have it at 0.7 because I have to evaluate that incomplete. I like the whole thing completely before I move on. But when it comes to stuff like text, the text is good for the game. The text usage of the game is good. Text type of the game is good. It's just that based on depth perception, based on use of color, based on range, and based on the fact that you're not allowed to actually read the actual text. If you're interested in what's being said within the text, there's not an actually button or an actually pop-up window or an indication to show that you can actually clear the text and see what's being said. Like you say, like in Outlast. Like if you read the text in Outlast, you'll be able to clear up what's actually been written in the scribbled writings of the individual and then clear it up by standard text format. Here, that's not the case. And I can only assume that's not the case because when they made this game, they weren't making it from the point of view of maybe someone might be interested in it. Or from the point of view of maybe based on the type of window that the person is using the game, or the type of monitor that the person is using, or the type of screen, flat screen that they're using, HDMI or Vivid or whatever they're using. I guess they weren't assuming someone would be interested in text. So I would have to take points off from the game for that. But not large points that it becomes annoying as hell. But to the point that it was only annoying if for the text itself, and interest of the game, and basically the lore of the game might be one of the major factors of the game, and that's a really bad thing. So you could say that you would take a full 1 point off, but based on how I evaluate things, I evaluate things based on a full 1 is very high in my opinion. If you give a game a full 1, so you should really start things up from a 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. And you can't really just give it all for 1 without, escalating things to get to that point, to that full 1 point. So from a text point of view, it's very difficult to read. If you look at the white over the orange, that's difficult to read. Maybe if they applied the black over the orange, but the black over the orange wouldn't look that appealing. So maybe they didn't consider that as much as they should have, and it puts a certain strain on the eye. So that's kind of a 0.1 for me, and the inability to read the text is also a 0.1 for me because it's too. I would have to zoom in or go up close to my monitor to actually see it. Is also a 0.1 for me, and the inability to not put in an actually default interactive window or interactive button to clear up the text is not set in there for me as well. So that's a 0.3 for me, all for text itself, not the actual text design itself, but how they decide to use the text based on the color usage of the game, and not to clear up those texts with a type of interactive button or interactive menu for it. So that's one. Those are the only things I would take away from the game at the beginning. But from a 0.7 for the color design, and now a -3 for the use of text, I'm still at a decent 0.4. I'm not at a full 1 with regards to the game yet, so because I haven't jumped into it. But if the scroll over for the actual interactivity for the game, which is not the same, it's not the same. If it's not in the design of the game and the text of the game is not the same as rollovers for the game. Does the rollovers work? Does the highlights on the rollovers looks good? Yes, it tells you which one you're highlighting. It expands and it works. Same as here. Does it pop up fast enough? Does it lag? That works good. So now I was at a 0.4. Now I'm at 0.5 because rollovers work fine. The option screen work fine. The left or right for the rollovers work fine. the type of rollovers, the type of things that you could use, to increase audio, decrease audio. The fact that you could increase and decrease your audio is good. The fact that you could decide the sensitivity of your controller is good. The fact that you could choose what type of loadout upgrades to have is good. The fact that the sensitivity is good. The fact that you increase and decrease the subtitles are good, or cut off the narration of the actually audio for the subject matter is good, and then decrease the chatter for the Brigade is also good if you want. So it's completely up to you how you want to play this game. The effects, the dialogue. So I like the fact that you can control this game to a certain degree. It's not perfect, but it works. And those interactive part of the interactive menu in and of itself is good. So the look of the game is good. The interactive part of the game is good. However, the text part of the game isn't good. So the look, the sound, well, I haven't gotten into sound yet. So the look of the game is good. The interactive features of the game is good. So now I'm at 0.5 for that. Now for the sound of the game, if I had to increase the audio sound of the game, now the mastery volume increased everything else, and everything is of that capacity is good and reminiscent of Zombie Army 4, Zombie Army 3. And I like that a lot. I like the ability that you cut off your volume when you're in game or outside of the game. It doesn't matter what mission you're doing. You could go to your menu and have that capability to increase and decrease things to your heart's desire, as well as dialogue. You could adjust. I like that ability to adjust sound, especially effects, especially dialogue, and especially in this game since there's a narration in the tutorial section. That's a problem, so that's good. So I like this with regards to Strange Brigade, and I find it based on the fact that this probably came out 10 or more years, that is good. It, for a game that wasn't based on high budget and probably had less budget than Zombie Army 4 or Zombie Army 3. Or around probably the same budget as Zombie Army 3, but less budget than Zombie Army 4. That I don't know for 100% back, but I guarantee it's less than the value of Zombie Army 4. And Zombie Army 4 is not really considered a AAA game, but it's close, very close towards getting to that level, but it's not really. Yeah, but this is lower than that, and so the budget on this had to be somewhat cheaper, and for the execution of interactive menus is good with regards to that as well. So from the sound perspective, now I'm going to increase the main sound. I'm now going to lower the music itself. And lower the effects itself. Alright, so once the music is low, let me increase the music. The music is coincide with the volume, the music volume. Lower, increase, volume, increase. Alright, so once I increase this to max and I increase this to max, you still don't hear anything because the effects aren't on. So if I decrease this and I put the effects on, let's see what happens. Okay, so the music and mastery volume are intertwined with each other. If you lower this one, the music for everything goes off. Correction, if you lower this one, everything goes off. So even if I increase this, it's still off. So mastery volume is completely null as everything. But if let's say if I increase this, you still won't hear the music because the mastery volume nulls everything. But the moment I increase the effect, it's still null because the mastery volume nulls everything. But if I increase the mastery volume, but everything else is decreased, you still won't hear anything. even if I increase the music, because they're in association with each other. They're not locked into each other, but in their association with each other. So now I increase the effects. Here it low. Okay, so that's one of the main problems I have with it. One problem, not a main problem, just a minor problem. When something is called effects, you should hear just the effects. Music is, I guess you could consider music an effect, but it's really music. I mean, this should be music. Music, when I increase music, and this is at 100, I should hear the music. The music shouldn't be in association with the effects themselves. The effects should be in association with effects themselves, such as sparks or waterfalls, not the music itself. So I wouldn't say I would take a lot of points off for the game for that. I would just take it down back to a point 4. I was at a point 5. So I take that. I'll take that away. So now with relation to okay, so now with relations to the game itself, I already spoke of the color of the game, I already spoke of the text of the game, I already spoke of interactive menu of the game, the moving up and down, the ability to press buttons fast, go fast, move fast, see things from left L1 L2, so on and so forth. Now, if I go in, and then I went into volume control, and that's where I had an issue with, as well as I into text where I have an issue with that you cannot clean up the text to see what it's saying if you're really interested in these subjects matters. So I'm back down to a point 5. Or was it a point 4? It's point 4. Okay. So I keep it at a point 4 right now. I already did the rollovers, I already did the colors, I already did the text usage of the game. I already stated the effects of the game. I didn't get into the fact of the display of the game, the ability to increase the brightness and decrease the brightness of the game, but that's not even something of a subject matter. If you can't increase the brightness or decrease the brightness of your game, there's something wrong with your game from the beginning. Something majorly wrong. So that I'm not even going to consider that factor. Increase subtitles, decrease subtitles of the game. Already spoke on that with regards to text. Already spoke on the audios. Already spoke on the ability to control your game as well, which is part of the interface, which I spoke on. So now I'm already at a point 4. And even with all that, that's still at a point 4, but I haven't gotten into the game itself. So even though rollovers work, now I could get into the game. I already gave it 4 points. So now once I go into the game, you're given the options to see play with friends or play with a group. You could then switch it based on the rollovers that you want to play by yourself or you want to keep it as public or worldwide. And then it will state it as such and you click it. I like the ability to, as you select it, you could go back and forth to select it and click it to make sure that it's on. So even if you go back, that clicks indicator shows that it's on. And that little crown in your head shows that it's on. So that's a good part of the interactive menu, which I already stated within past before. So now I'm going to get into the inventory section of the game, where you can go back and forth and select between weapon types. And as you progress through the game, you can unlock these different type of weapons. Now, unlike Zombie Army 4, this game doesn't. I haven't gotten to the level for which I can upgrade the game because I just started it my first time. So I don't know how the upgrade system works as of yet because I haven't upgraded anything. But the weapons and design of the weapons are quite interesting, and they have quite different features on them. And they show the amount of ammo you have, the accuracy, the firing rate, and the description of how the reload time of within each weapons. And some are semi-auto, some are straight shotgun types. But there's not actually indication that of how fast they're going to reload or how fast the firing rate is. The ammo amount where it says 2.0, that could be firing rate or that could be reload time. I'm assuming it's reload time, but there's no actually indication. Okay, so maybe I'm just being brain dead, but It says firing rate there, so you know there's not a detail of how much of the firing rate. It just tells you the firing rate. So the 2.0 is the amount of ammo you could reload at the time, or reload time. So there's your indication. So that's kind of dummy, stupid, kind of silly understanding how fast you could reload. This is 1.3, this is 0.7, this is very fast loading, and this is a timer for which it explodes every 45 seconds. Alright, so that's a long timer. Then you can switch between what type of grenades you're going to throw, what type of mine's going to go off. This goes off every 45 seconds, this goes off every 40 seconds, this goes off 35 seconds, this goes off 30 seconds. Basically fire in the hole. You unlock the top, you throw it at the enemy, and then you wait, and it goes off 30 seconds after. Gives you enough time to run around or to pull a horde of zombies into that area, and then boom, it goes off. Just you have to make sure, based on the timer amount, how much time you need to actually take down an enemy. Now, if an enemy has strong armor, you obviously want something that has more explosive capabilities, but you don't want to have too much of a delay time, so you will need that. So I like the idea that this game gives you the capabilities to switch between the grenade types that you're going to select. Whereas in Zombie Army 4, you don't have the ability to switch between grenade types that you are going to use. You can switch between characters that carry specific type of grenades and specific type of weapons, and then you could select those weapons and those grenade types you're going to be using, or mostly primarily weapons, secondary weapons, so on and so forth. And then everyone can pick up the type of grenade they're going to use, or the type of bomb they're going to use, or the type of mortar they're going to use, or the type of traps they're going to use. It's not tailored towards one individual. So in this game, it follows the same functions. But the beauty part about this game is that you actually do it from a menu perspective, where in Zombie Army 4 or Zombie Army 3, or all of them, to be honest with you, you find these things within crates. You select them in crates, and if you're in a group with people, you pull them from the crates, and it doesn't matter what type of character your character is, or what type of perk your character has. If they pick it up, they pick it up. And this follows the same thing. You don't have to worry about going into picking something up from your surrounding area. It's in your menu already. Now you can select the type of weapon or the type of grenade that the game gives you for that map. When you go to a different map, you might unlock a different type of grenade, or a different type of gun, or a different type of weapon. So this is a little bit different from Zombie Army 4, but it kind of follows the same type of method, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about picking it up. It's already in your menu screen that you can select what type you're going to use on your enemy. And it actually, unlike Zombie Army 4, which is probably one of the best things with regards to this game, unlike Zombie Army 4, it actually gives you a timer indication of how long it would take for it to explode. And that's one of the things I like with regards to this game, unlike Zombie Army 4, where you don't know the timer for which explosive grenade is going to go off. So that's one thing I like. And I will give this the whole inventory system of your weapons and timer for which you could set weapons and abilities based on the type of powers you have, power you can use based on opening doors, or based on throwing grenades, and based on setting up ammunition and reload speed. The indication of how fast things can go, or how fast, or the timer for which they can execute it before an explosion happens, just a little bit more superior than Zombie Army 4 in that count, because it's already in your menu and you could tell right away. So I would say I was at a 0.4 for this game. I really like this, but it's not like it's the biggest deal imaginable. Like in Zombie Army 4, you throw a grenade, you wait, it gives you that warning indicator, and then it goes off. Here, it doesn't give you that warning indicator. It just makes a sound, and you have to stay out of the range, and then it goes off. But you already know, based on what you read, how long it would take for it to explode. So it's a little give and take. With Zombie Army 4, you have an indication based on a warning sign once you throw it. Here, don't have it, but at least you know prior, before you throw it, that it'll make a sound, or it'll show a type of beacon, a glowing beacon, and then it'll go off. So I really like this, and it really is based on your knowledge to know when things goes off and when you could use them and how you could lure enemies into the traps in order to achieve double hits or double kills. And so I will give, I would say I'd give it a full point for that. So now it's at a point 4. I'll be at a point 5. I won't. I don't think it demands a point 6, but that's just something a little additive. And that's just for the grenade itself. A little different than Zombie Army 4, and that's what I like. And maybe if they included that little warning sign once you throw the grenade, and you can visually see it, it would be superior to Zombie Army 4, and I would give it an extra point for that, but it doesn't. So now I'm at a point 5. And then maybe I'll give it an additional point also for the inventory management of weapons. Whereas Zombie Army 4, you get to choose wherever weapons you go from. But in this one, there's not more details of how you could upgrade it. Based on this, the upgrade capabilities of Zombie Army 4 is better than Strange Brigade. But once again, Zombie Army 4 it doesn't show an indication of how fast you need to reload or which gun has the faster reload. You just know, it just tells you, and then you do it in mission. So here, it just gives you a little indication. I like the ability that you can select whatever weapon you want, whenever the hell you want as well. And it's within your menu screen of your daily log entry, this huge book right here. So the movement speed is good for the interactive menu. Going left and right. And the type of weapon you could use right before you play the game is also good as well. So I like that a lot. And these are the weapons I'm using at the moment. Using these. So yeah, and this is basically powers. Powers you could use to open stuff, or powers you could use to destroy enemies. Now in Zombie Army 4, there are no powers. You don't get powers. In Zombie Army 4, you just have grenades, guns, and explosives, and that's it. But in this game, there are actually powers, like superpowers. You do get the stomp abilities in Zombie Army 4, but in this game, I guess this is more an arcane version of Zombie Army 4. This was during a time when voodoo and magic and all of this stuff was still a major factor of human history in the 20th and 19th century. So I would say late 19th century, early 20th century, basically before World War One. And so we're here. We're in Pharaoh's place. Not sure if it's still East India Company, East India Trading Company, but if it is, in Africa's part of the world, or not in the Africa part, the Mesopotamian part of the world, and we're doing this mission Indiana Jones style, Thuggy style. Whereas there's not Hitler and his people, but there's more like ancient artifacts, ancient ruins, romancing the stone, Indiana Jones 2 style. So this is very bright, very vivid, and very beautiful. And it's set up quite well. The only bad part I would say with regards to the game is, like I said before, the text and maybe minor discrepancies. Another bad thing with regards to the game is if you don't know a lot of people, a lot of friends, this isn't the game that you could play with a lot of people would join. This is more like a game that you would solo. But if you don't mind soloing a co-op game, because this is pretty much old, very old game, so it's understandable that it won't get a lot of plays because it's very old. Is fine as well for the value of $10 or below $10 or whatever the deluxe is going for right now in the PlayStation. It's very good for the value it is based on everything I'm seeing. This value is very good. So now we're gonna play the mission. The loading screen is also pretty decent. It's fast and is reminiscent of a time where technology was still in its ancient processes, where things were still analog, and the ideas gadget making was still in the major forefront before analog started to become a major thing, and cameras were at their very base value in analog version. So I'm continuing this. I already say I'm now at a point 5. I'm going to increase the volume and play the game. Now, movement speed of the character is very good. Movement speed of the character is very good. The fact that it stays out here, you see the character in full, and then it zooms in here. The placement of the character with regards to the screen is placed on less than the halfway marker of the screen. Now, if you were to split the screen in half, your character in any game, if you're doing a third-person shooting, and this is third-person shooting, not first-person, you should always be at the left half or the right half of the screen, depending on the type of person you are. But most games always put their characters at the left half. And once you put your character at the left half, the character has to be at the far left half. Their body has to go outside the screen, and it has to be at the far left half. It can't be in the middle of the left half, because then they'll take up the middle of the screen, and you won't be able to see the majority of the environment from perspective. Your character has to look, if they're in the third person, that they're looking from the far left half in towards the perspective. They cannot dominate the entire visual of your monitor screen. They have to be within that 25% marker. Once they get past the 25% marker, they cannot exceed 35%. That's why at the edge of the gun is hitting the halfway marker, but not the body. The edge of the hand of the body is also hitting the halfway marker, or close to the halfway marker, but not the entire body itself. If the entire body was at the location of where the edge of the elbows is, then that'll be a problem, because then the elbow will extend to the right on top of the actually half of the screen. So that's not good. You don't want that. You want your body to always be close towards the edge of the screen, like very, very close at the 25% or less than 25% marker, at the 15% marker. And then you want the head to extend a little bit beyond the 15% marker. And then you want your elbows to be within the 25% or the 35% of the halfway point of the screen. And then your gun can go as far as you want the gun to go. But you really shouldn't, based on perspective, exceed past the halfway point. So that's with regards to this game, that's good. So even though your character might be in the center of the screen, when you're moving around, that's just for moving. The moment you go into third-person shooting or first-person shooting, if you zoom completely out, you want your first-person shooting to actually look exactly like your character standing here, so you can see everything around you, because you're actually looking through the eyes of the character. But if your character is in third-person mode, you always want that character, his head and the body, to be within that 15% marker towards the far left side. You never want it to be right in the dead center. You never want it to be at the 25% marker between the left side. You always want it to be within that 10% marker. And then have the elbow exceed a little bit past the 15% to get towards the 25% more, but never really exceeding the 25% too much. Otherwise, the character would look like it's taking up like half of the screen. You don't want that to happen. And the movement for this character with relations to the environment as well. As I'm moving left to right, if I'm moving left to right, here, it'll be the same as if you were in first person mode looking left to right. But here I'm moving the controller, but the character themselves is moving along with you. So when you move left and right from the first person mode, imagine this character isn't here. Imagine the character that you're seeing right here is not here. You are in first person mode and this character is invisible. You cannot see the character, you cannot see the character's gun. You're just looking around, moving back and forth here. That's because you're seeing the character through your eyes, or you're seeing the environment through your eyes. But if you're going to set something in third person mode, you have to have your character design in association with you in first person mode. They have to be linked to each other. So when the character moves left and right, it has to be like you're looking left and right and moving left and right. So it has to be in sync with you moving left and right. Both your gun, both the character, everything has to be static towards your first person and the third person. So it's like a combination of first person and third person all in one when you have it like that. So that's good. And with regards to the movement and everything for the games, I would say I give the game a full point for that. So now I'm at a 0.6 for that, just for accuracy of keeping things in perspective. Sometimes in Warframe, another game, they make the character design so big that it occupies more than 35% from the left when aiming down sights. That's not good. But for some character, they have it accurately. They really need to fix that up a little. But for Warframe, it's not that big of a deal. But sometimes they're really defective. Here, it's very accurate and very good. So I'll give it a full point for that. That's a full 0.6. Now, with regards to effects, fire effects looks good. I mean, I didn't speak on the actual effects of the world. I spoke on the effects with regards to colors and everything, but the effects of fire and everything, that looks good as well. That looks good. The effects of selecting ammo from pouches looks good. A good indication that this is an ammo pouch by showing ammo. That's very unique and distinct. That's good. I'll give it a full point for that. For effects of the game. Not just the effects of the game, but effects of lighting effects of the game. Color effects on things, as well as the lighting effects on things. But since I'm not going to get into the detail of effects, lighting effects, if I combine the visual, not the visual effects, lighting effects, if I combine smoke effects, if I combine debris, shadows and shape effects. If I select every effect, it'll have to be something I see all at once at the same time here, and I see it all at the same time here. I see the smoke effects. I see the heat effects, and that heat effects is part of an invisible version of the actual lighting effects of the fire itself. Fire and the heat of the fire, but the spark effects as well, and the lighting effects from the sun. If you look up at the sun, the lighting on the sun shows on the character. Now the character looks like it's blinding. Not just you looking like you're blinding, but the character looks like it's ridiculously blinded as well. Now the character from the sun shining on the back of the character shows majority of the character's form. And you move around, you see the lighting effects on the head with regards to the sun itself. Seeing it going back and forth, turning as well. The sun, the lighting, and the shadows are moving as well. So with regards to effects of the game, lighting effects, shadow effects, heat effects, color effects, and other visuals, I'll give it a full 5 points for that. Until I see something to actually take me out of the game that say, okay, that screws up. But I give it a full 5 points for effects themselves. So I was already at 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. I'm at a full 1. I mean, not 1.6, but 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. So now I'm at a full 1 of the game. So now I'm at a full 1.1 of the game. Most people would just give you, oh, the place looks beautiful. I'll give it a full point for that. But you have to really do things based on the evaluation of details first. Now, I didn't get into exact nitty-gritty details of the colors of debris and everything of the game, but I just give a general rules of thumbs for actually color understanding of the environments. Now, another factor is placement of text, of the world, placement of color, placement of ground, movement, and design of rock structure, as well as the embedded of the rocks and creases of the rocks, the details in the rocks, as well as the details on the color of the flowers and the leaves. So that's very good. So details when it comes to debris, the effects details. There's a lot of details, man. I might give it more than a 0.5. I will give it a 0.6 because there's a lot of details I'm seeing. So now I'm at a 1.2 with regards to the game. And the movement towards weapons are already considered a 1. I consider it a 0.1 added as well. Now this is very static. Special kicks, very static. For some reason, once you do this, the screen is locked. but I don't consider it that much of a big deal. This is what I like. Your character could run and your dash. Whether like in Zombie Army 4 you could crouch down and then you could pick up speed and run. Here you run, and once you start continually running, you start to continually run. You double tap on your R3 and then you start running fast. Or you could just run for a small amount of period and then all of a sudden you start pick up running. But this is the main one I love more than anything. So for the character model design, and the use of the character, the in-game use of character, and how the character works with regards to the mission is very good. The movement of character with regards to how fast they pick up the gun, the movement of the body with regards to the environment is good. The movement of the body with regards to the camera is good. The switching off of weapons is fast. The use of being ability to use your kicks is also fast. The ability to be able to throw your weapon or throw your grenade is also something that comes instantly. And the ability to cancel it out by doing a roll where you could throw it and say, no, I don't want to do that again, is also good as well. Switching between weapons. How fast the gun fires. Does the gun fire fast enough? Is it accurate? Does it move forward? Is it when you move to the left, when you move to the right, does it move accurately? Is it great? Does it move like that? Is it good? Does it function correctly? It's good.
Quite the brutal brain teaser here, strange Brigade.
All right. So another thing about this game is that there are puzzles in this game. So you have to figure it out for yourself. I like the complexity of knowing that there are puzzles. It just gets difficult as you go along.
Ridiculous.
So you have to figure out the puzzle based on your environment around you. It could be a giant statue, it could be something you find on a piece of paper, or it could be just an image of how the location looks. So let's see here. We have this, this, and this. We have a man, a bunny rabbit, and something that looks like an altar. So we have to find evidence around the area to unlock this. Maybe I should check my menu to see if I have anything to give me a hint. But I don't. My antiquities only say this. But there has to be something I hit. Let me check my objectives. My objective says discover what happens to investigate the base camp. Okay, so when you press on your center D-pad, it will give you an indication of where you need to go. And then it'll pop up on your screen and it will show there. So maybe I need clues in order to get through the door. Okay, so let's see.
There's the lock, but how to get the key? Best get looking, Brigade.
Now you could turn off your narration if the narrator start to become very annoying, and you could do that within your options menu. I like the fact that I could cut off narration if I want to. But I believe because this is in tutorial section, he's going to keep talking anyway. So now all like I said, your grenades have a timer, so based on how.
That confounded the blighters.
However, if the grenade explodes right in front of you on contact of the enemy, you get hit as well.
A welcome resupply.
the great part about their special kick and their special ability, like the special punch or the special kick, it could knock an enemy off balance and then you could go for an execution. Like if you're in trouble. So now I have to find the key for center of the D-pad.
These beggars popping up. Someone clearly doesn't want our heroes getting inside this tomb.
Display objective. Okay. You just gotta search around for clues, I guess.
Money well spent, I should think.
Okay, this is I unlock this weapon.
Automatic Audley. Huzzah! How amazing! Celebratory drinks back at the
Another great thing about this game, if I want to, I could switch between the weapons I got or the weapons I have at any time. I don't have to keep the weapon I found. I could just put it in inventory and go back to my original weapon. Another thing that's sweet with regards to this weapon with regards to this game than, let's say, Zombie Army 4, is that your pistol is infinite. So even though your other weapons might not be infinite, your pistol is infinite. It will never run out of ammo. It's the only thing in the game that's infinite, your pistol. So that's sweet.
yes, huzzah! Well spotted.
Okay. So it says here
What fun that was! Can you find another?
I'm going to use my special attack on these guys. I really like the rolling mechanic. You could really roll for a large distance. The rolling mechanic is awesome. You really jump fast and far. Damn, still too close to that grenade. God damn it.
This will be very useful. Ammunition.
Alright, so what does it say? Find a way into the dig site. Discover what happened to it. Alright, well, I don't have the key, so I still have to find a scarab key. Okay. And there's no indication where the scarab key might be, so obviously I have to investigate. That's the one thing I like about this game. It doesn't show you everything that you need to know. This game is about discovery. It's not just about running and gunning. It's, it's about you using your head and figuring out where things are for yourself. Where would a Scarab key be?
I think you've cracked it.
Okay, I think he got the Scarab key. Or maybe he didn't get the Scarab key. Where would the Scarab key be? Damn it. Do we have to go all the way back? Is it on top of a building? Shit. Alright, so it's not in this area.
Key to success. Well found, Brigade.
Oh, this door was closed before. Oh, okay, I guess he opened it. Alright, so now all you gotta do is go up here to where the door was.
This should help.
You see, I don't think I have enough points to upgrade yet. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to figure out how. It says yet to be found. An upgrade kit. Okay, so just like Zombie Army 4, you have to find an upgrade kit. And I haven't found one yet, so I can't upgrade this weapon. Alright. That's fair.
Oh dear. Truly a somber moment for the Brigade here. Poor Veronica's paid the ultimate price, it would seem.
Alright.
Oh, Lady Webster won't be happy to hear this.
Oh, a puzzle. A puzzle.
Looks like quite the brutal brain teaser here, Strange Brigade.
What the hell? Oh, this is an easy one. Okay.
So simple.
A fine discovery.
I'll take this ammo. Yes, this will help. This is a place that should never have been disturbed.
Oh Lord, Queen of the Damned! Are our heroes too late? Oh my! Looks like the local wildlife found Harbin long before the Brigade. How gruesome. By the Lord Harry, this can't be good.
See what happens when fools meddle with the powers of the spirit world. Throwing grenades.
Fully charged and good to go.
Spirits, attack!
The strange Brigade? Surely not.
Hello? This is really not fun. This will be very useful. That was glorious!
simple quest to find Harbin reveals a dead horror from ancient times, awoken and set loose upon the world. Fear not, though. The Strange Brigade are on the case. Ah, now to dole out the treasure. How lovely. Unless my arithmetic is off, you can afford a new weapon. Oh, what fun! Back to the dirigible, but there's no time to rest. Lady Webster has another task to hand out.
So, now the worst is known. Sateki has been set free upon the world.
A terrorist, yeah?
The like of which the world has rarely seen, if the legends are to be believed.
So how do we stop her?
An excellent question, Alangu. I have experts here in London, translating everything we can find about Sateki.
Ah, those brave boffins, risking their lives for king and country.
We all serve in our own way, Captain Fairburn. If there's anything useful, they'll find it. Agent Brownich's death will not be in vain.
I should hope not, indeed.
And in the meantime?
In the meantime, Professor, I need the Brigade to gather more information for our boffins to study. Starting with the ancient temple at the valley in this location.
Those brave boffins book-smarts can't save the day by themselves. Thankfully, the Strange Brigade is on hand to leap into action once more. What thrilling tales and awe-inspiring...
Sometimes that narrator just goes on and on.
A suspiciously sinister valley, leading to a mysterious mountain temple. A day at the races for the Strange Brigade.
Sometimes that guy just goes on and on. I believe I'll be able to cut off the narrator as vocal cord or voice. Maybe if I put it at low, I'll be able to talk that much. Alright. So I'll probably cut the video for a very short period. Stop this video for a very short period, then I'll start again. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the action and puzzles of the game, itself, the puzzles are good, and they're what eventually becomes more difficult as you go into the game. So that's one of the major factors and comparisons to this and the Zombie Army game series. That's a huge difference. There's more discovery here than in any of the Zombie Army games. There's more use of your own intellect towards solving things and finding things than in Zombie Army. So that's very interesting, how you solve puzzles, how you solve riddles. So that's interesting, and I would say I would give it a 0.1 for that, but because the puzzles becomes increasingly great as you go along, not to the point of extreme difficulty, I would give it a 0.5 for that. Just the escalation of how you get to solve things. Sometimes you have to knock doors, sometimes you have to shoot things, sometimes you have to just use your brain, sometimes you have to clear a horde. The fun factor in regards to how you play the game is interesting, and how you do things is also interesting. I would consider this game to be a more game in regards to using your head and solving things based on your own thought, and that's good. And that's what I like with regards to this game in comparison to Zombie Army 4. That you get to actually think when you play the game rather than just play the game and not think. Just blow stuff up. Which is you'll find in Zombie Army 4. This game, there's a little bit more than that. So I'm already at a 2 with regards to this game. I was at a 1.1, and I think I'll give the game an additional zero point 0.5 towards a 1.1. Doesn't really make it a 2. Make it a 1.6, to be honest with you. But when it comes to the fun factor, I'm actually enjoying the game of the inclusions of these puzzles as well as the movement speed, the use of weapons, and the fact that your health is not so OP that you could just could take shots and then not be vulnerable towards an attack and die. You have to constantly watch out for your health. You have to move around. Sometimes when you throw grenades, or throw hand grenades and they explode. If they explode on contact rather than hit the ground and explode, um, yeah, if you're within range, you take damage. It's not like the dynamite. You hit the ground with the dynamite, and dynamite takes a certain time. If the grenade hits a character or hits a monster, it explodes, and if you're within range, you get a hit. I also like the animation of when you die, you have to be summoned back from out of a tomb. They have to wake you up from the dead, like a mummy. I find that to be funny and far more interesting. So the fun factor of actually fighting within the mission to use a pistol that's infinite is also great when you're out of options, when you don't have any weapons and you really have to go tooth and nail to defeat the enemy with a pistol. So the game gives you kind of a small slight edge, but not so much that the pistol won't do that much damage to kill an enemy. It probably will take you 10 rounds, whereas with a shotgun will probably take you 1 round with a pistol. One in comparison to like 10 rounds with a pistol, or 5 rounds with a automatic rifle, where it will take. It makes you feel like it's very fun, and it's not lacking in anything specific, listing and very appealing. So we'll have it as 1.6. Now that I think about it, it exceeds 1.6 because it has those little animations, because it has those little um, tile sets, because it has those little puzzles. And I would get this game up to a full 2 because the puzzles are 0.5, but the animations on death, the effects of the bombs and everything, and playing and cooperating with others is actually interesting with regards to the game. So I would say at the moment this game is at a full 2. And additional other things as I could find as I go into the game will be probably something more related towards building, upgrading weapons, and towards special attacks. If those upgrade weapons are good, I can see this game going to uh, a 3. But now that I think about it, right now my fun factor, just my general fun factor, demands a 1 more than anything. Not a 1, not a point 0.1, point 0.2, point 0.3, point 0.4, point 0.5, point 0.6. If of my fun factor, if I'm feeling good about a game, if I feel the game is well worth to buy, that game deserves a full 1. Simply the fact that it's actually doing what I want it to do. Sometimes things are stiff within the game, but I could deal with it for a game that came out more than 10 years ago, or something that's not even AAA budget, but still holds up to this day. So I say, right now, I was at a 2, considering everything that I've seen, animation, colors, effects, guns, weapons, and everything from the beginning of the game to now. I was at a 2. But now that I'm factoring the fun factor of the game, the entire fun factor of the game as a whole, I would say fun factor of the game gets an entire 1 for me right now, because I'm really enjoying the game by myself as a 1, and I could see this being even more fun with a group of people. But at the moment, I'll keep it at a 1, and then thereafter move forward in escalating it to higher points within the game from its beginning of the game to where it is now. Now, the animation movie of the game is not that great, it's not that interesting with regards to the story, but it does follow a kind of Indiana Jones exploration feel, and it does have a classic look to it. So they're able to get down the classic, back in the days, analog style recording feel, and it does it perfectly. It does it well, and it is enjoyable. And most things back then were, especially in films, were narrated either in subtitle form or later on in verbal form, uh, even though they were still black and white. Um, but that won't demand a full one. I would say that the movie section of the story is weaker than Zombie Army 4 because that Zombie Army 4 is fun. But when it comes to the subject matters of the discovery of what they're doing of investigation and dealing with things and stopping certain monsters or summoning of monsters, the story of the character as a brigade as a whole is more camaraderie. You find more camaraderie in that than you do in Zombie Army 4. So as camaraderie and in the story itself is more superior to Zombie Army 4 in that matter. Even though the cutscenes of Zombie Army 4 are more fun than the cutscenes of Strange Brigade, even though the camaraderie of teams within the cutscene or the story of the cutscene itself are more logical and makes more sense and is more fun than Zombie Army 4 as a group, as a team, as a brigade. So I will give it a 0.2 for that because it would be a 0.1 if they are able to achieve it, which they did, and achieve it well, which they did. And I give it a 0.2 for simply being, an extra point for simply being its camaraderie within the brigade itself makes more sense than it does in, say, Zombie Army 4. That camaraderie is there. You feel that camaraderie between people are there. It feels like a Left 4 Dead in the Nile River, Left 4 Dead Nile River types thing. A group of 4 people in an area. So that feels more solid than something like a Zombie Army 4. And it definitely is more superior than something like a World War Z, a group setting. These actually feel like comrades in arms rather than those that you found in World War Z or Zombie Army 4. So that I'll give it a 0.2 for that. And so now I was at a 3. I believe I'm a 3 overall with the game with regards to the movie itself and how things are playing out, how it looks, how the visuals of it looks with regards to things from of the analog era, of the pre-television era, where things were mostly recorded on camera, on very very I don't know, real camera, before reels even became a thing. To be honest with you, where everything was very janky and very based on quick execution of battery on paper foam as well as plastic foam, with digital and print resolutions not being one of the main things back then, but more like the execution of getting an image to represent something based on scans, human body scans like a CAT scan, to print it out and then to show the visuals in colors. So, yeah, I would say it's at a 3.2. It's at a 3.2 right now. Everything looks great. It's at a 3.2 now, and I believe it'll go up even further than the 3.2 if I see more additional things. And I know it'll go up further than 3.2 now because as the upgrade section of the game with regards to weapons increase, it'll go up. As the fun factor with regards to the area, what type of monster you fight will go up, and what ways you gotta fight those monsters will go up. So the fun factor will probably increase as well. And with regards to accessories that you will get for your characters, both in image as well as towards your weapons, accessories for your weapons, that'll probably go up as well. Not 100% sure what to make of the different map locations, but if the map locations are very different from each other, the points will also go up as well. So I could see this game gaining a total of a 6 But then seven is pretty high in that realm if you're talking about AAA standards, double A, AAA standards. Most things that aren't AAA don't fall into the 8 or 9 category. Most things that AAA fall into that category. But so if you hit a 7 and you're not AAA, you did great. So I could see this being a 6 to a 7 game at the end, and I believe that's probably the best value I could say with regards to this game. This game is probably by Metacritic or other people's standards probably fall within the 5, 6, or 7 range. From my stand, I could see this going up to a 7, but I have to look deeper into it. So I'll play it some more later on today, and I'll evaluate each map and each character standings with regards to the game itself. So log off right now, I'll probably log back on later.